Hey there, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Mad Minute. Today I'm with rapper, aviation pioneer, author, health fitness nut, and all-around epic entrepreneur, Jesse Itzler. Jesse, welcome to the show.
That's a great intro.
Hey, man. I appreciate you being here. You're familiar with the format of the Mad Minute. We just try to keep these podcasts short and dive right in. So what I'd like to ask you first is if you could describe a little bit what your early years were like.
Well, I grew up in Long Island, Roslyn, New York. Youngest of four. My parents gave me a long leash to create, explore, try different things, fail. And it was the perfect way for me to grow up. I got to roam around my neighborhood, and when my mom rang a cowbell, it was time for dinner, and that was kind of the rules.
Awesome. So, what were some of your early entrepreneurial ventures?
Well, they were always kind of working for myself. I was, and they were nothing glamorous or fancy. I sold meat. I didn't eat meat, which is funny. I didn't eat shellfish or meat or anything growing up, but I sold it door to door out of a truck. My high school year, I was a kiddie pool attendant because I didn't pass my lifeguard test. So just a lot of unusual jobs, but I stuck with all of them, and they were great learning experiences for what ended up me, going on to do bigger things.
Right. One of the things that I've found out about you, and I say aviation pioneer, is the Marquis Jets. What was kind of the thoughts behind that, and how did you move forward with that?
So Marquis Jet came about. I was a guest on a private jet, and I just couldn't believe that people traveled like that. And my partner and I, by the time we landed on this trip that we took, we're like, how do we get in this? How do we fly privately more often? And we were just frustrated consumers. We realized that the options to fly privately at the time were super expensive. They required long-term commitments. There were inconsistencies with the airplanes. And we were just like, like any real entrepreneur or any idea, we saw a problem in the marketplace that we wanted to fix. We wanted to make it more affordable, easier. We wanted to give people the benefits of having their own airplane with none of the responsibilities or pressures of owning their own plane, like scheduling and pilots and maintenance. So we came up with this idea for a 25-hour kind of prepaid jet card where you would have all the benefits of owning your own plane. It would be ready on short notice, 8 hours or less, and take you anywhere in the country. And if you flew 2 hours, you'd have 23 hours left. And the problem is we had no airplanes, so hard to start a jet company with no airplanes. But we figured out a way to partner with a company called NetJets, owned by Warren Buffett, and we grew it into a business that did several $1 billion in sales.
Awesome. That's amazing. After that, I think you moved on to Zico.
Yeah. Coconut water. We had a coconut water company. I'm a big runner, and discovered the benefits of coconut water during some ultra runs, training that I was doing for an ultra marathon, and ended up partnering with a company called Zico, and kind of pioneered the coconut water craze here in the States. And then we sold the company to Coca-Cola in 2012. So that was a great run because I loved the product. I loved what it did for my body, and just it was a much healthier alternative to a lot of the sports drinks on the market and in the marketplace. So I felt really good selling that product to people, and ultimately, obviously, we had an exit, but it was a great time in my life because I just loved the product.
Yeah, that's amazing. And that kind of leads me into another question. That I know you're into fitness. What are some of the things you do to stay healthy and fit?
Invest a lot of time in it. I eat super clean. I read a book called Fit for Life when I was younger. For 27 years, I've only had fruit until noon. So I just invest a lot in really giving myself, I call it the 3-hour rule, 3 hours a day to do things that I want to do. Even if I have a heavy workload, family life, I have 4 kids, I'm married, I try to invest 3 hours a day in me. Cumulatively, I could take an hour in the morning, an hour walk at night, and those 3 hours I don't feel guilty that I'm not with my kids or not at work or with my family or whatever, because I don't want to resent anybody for taking away my time. So I really give myself 3 hours a day, and that's been a rule I've been doing since I'm 21 years old. And it's really helped me be better at work, be better with my family, and actually, live just a much healthier life and happier.
Right. So if I understand you correctly, when you talk about the 3 hours a day, this isn't something that you block out in one chunk. This is cumulative over the day. You'll spend at least 3 hours.
Yeah, and sometimes I could, like I said, and sometimes it's more, but it's always about, like I just it took an hour, literally 1 hour, and I went for a run, and then later on today I might just go treat myself to a massage for an hour, and then at tonight I'll go for an hour walk, and those are my 3 hours, or maybe tonight I'll just read. But whatever I do, that's kind of my time, and I'm very aware of when I'm in that moment. Like I'm very aware that this is, so I don't feel like I have to grab my phone or answer an email or people are attacking me for my time. I just feel like that's me. I got 21 hours to do whatever else people want me to do during the day. I could take 3 from me.
Right. So that leads into, you wrote the book, Living with a SEAL, 31 Days Training with the Toughest Man on the Planet. Can you describe a little bit about how you got motivated to do that?
Well, I met someone who I ultimately found out was a Navy SEAL at an ultra marathon, and he had literally broken the bones and the small bones in his feet running at mile 75, and I watched him continue despite the setback of having his feet battered. And I just thought to myself, like, whatever drive this guy has, whoever this guy is, if I could learn that and apply it to like my life and teach my employees or whatever, I'd be better. I need that drive. So I Googled him after the race and learned that he was in fact a Navy SEAL, and then I cold called him and flew out to meet him, and realized that I could never get the secret sauce at a breakfast meeting with him. I needed like more than just 15 minutes of talking to change my life. So I just asked him out of nowhere to come live with me. If he would come live with me, I asked him, and he said, if you're crazy enough to ask a guy like me to live with you, I'm crazy enough to come. And 3 days later, a couple of days later, whatever, he was at my breakfast table and stayed with my family and I for, extended period.
Right. And that had a profound impact on me in starting some of the business that I did. And what really struck me about it was your motivation. I found it inspiring because you, after Marquis, after Zico, after whatever you've done, you could really take a chance to take a break and just sit back, but there was more to you. It was deeper than that. It wasn't just that. It was kind of personal. It was like, I want to test myself. I want to be the absolute best. I'm not stopping here.
Yeah, I felt like we get one shot at life. My days are limited. I think the average American lives to be 78. I'm almost 50, so that'll be 28 more years of life. And I don't want to just sit on the couch watch the Kardashians. I want to go out and try to get some stuff done. So I don't like to look back on all the past stuff. If we weren't chatting right now, Marquis Jet or Zico, that stuff is old news to me, and it's great, right. And I love that it happened. But it's like, what's next, So yeah. That's kind of I'm a look through the forward looking through the front windshield kind of guy. So I wanted, I'm trying to build my life resume and yeah.
So that's interesting. It kind of segues pretty well into the next question. What is next for you?
Well, I just rented Stratton Mountain in Vermont, the whole mountain, and I'm doing this event October 15th of this year called Everesting, 29029, and basically I'm bringing in food trucks and bands and creating my own village of tents to sleep in, and then whoever's there, the challenge is you go up the mountain, take the gondola down, up, down, until you climb the vertical distance, Mount Everest. So you have 2.5 days to do it. So that's something I'm doing. And so I'm always looking for challenges, because that's what makes me feel super alive. Not like,
right.
Hitting
and
yeah.
Do a lot of your challenges involve physical, like fitness type things, or do you have other challenges? Do you engage in any kind of mental challenges?
Well, they're all those have a mental element to them. I like doing the physical and endurance stuff because I feel like it translates well into the other areas of my life. So I feel like I'm a better parent because of it, a better relationship with my wife and friends because of it. So and I enjoy it. It makes me feel the most alive. And all of those challenges have a mental element to it. The work stuff, obviously super important, and I enjoyed everything that I've done, but it hasn't been as fulfilling for me as some of the other stuff, quite honestly.
So we're getting towards the end here. As we round that out, one thing I wanted to ask, if you think about some of the skills that's required to actually be a successful entrepreneur or lead a successful life, what would you say are one of the top 2 skills someone would need?
I think you have to be comfortable being vulnerable. I think a lot of the victories that I've had, I've been really exposed, and I think that, just recognizing that with success comes a lot of vulnerability. So you have to be open and accepting to that. And not everybody is cut for that, So vulnerability, I think that's my superpower. I've grown very comfortable with the outcome when I'm vulnerable. You write a book, you're going to get reviewed. People might hate it. People might trash it. They're opening up your life. You have to be comfortable with that outcome, with whatever it is. You want to run 100 miles, there's no gray area. You're either going to finish it or you're not. So you got to be really comfortable with that vulnerability. The second thing, as it relates to business, is patience. I think people think in a world of get rich quick and all this. It doesn't work like that. It takes time, and you have to really appreciate the process. You have to have a passion for not just for what you're doing, but for the process, because you're going to go through ups and downs. And when you're on a big down kick, you have to just recognize, like, this is what I signed up for. It's part of the process, and respect that part of it, because there's a lot of negatives. So you have to have an appreciation for the process of being an entrepreneur.
Right. Hey, I really appreciate you being here, and I learned a lot. I want to thank you very much for making the time to be on the Mad Minute.
The Mad Minute, of course.
Hey there, a quick shout out to our Mad Minute sponsors, Valhalla Premium Beard Oil. Visit them on the web at www.valhallalegend.com.